Well, this is going to be a tough recollection to do. Basically, completely knackered after all. I'm good today. I finally slept most of the night. First time probably in a week. It's been the toughest one yet in that respect. Completely broken down by Mama over the last 2 weeks. Last week's group with Twin and Kai and Jason and Jen. Just heavy energies with those guys. A lot of stuff from Kai, which is said in the other ones. But it was a great week. But I was knackered at the weekend. So it's Friday today. I've got my final ceremony tonight, which is ceremony 66. So this will cover 64 and 65 that I just didn't have the energy to do this week because of just being just brutal cleaning. And Maestro said after Monday, he said, it's going to be a tough week for you. Heavy cleaning, he knows, going away and whatnot. And it's been tough because it was getting to the absolute first attack on me, probably when I was born. Maybe before. I was thinking about that this morning, being born with an umbilical cord around my neck for 24 hours or whatever it was my mother told me. Probably trying to fucking kill me right at the start, the dark energy. So we got to the very first attack, she said, which is what was cleaned on night before last, Wednesdays. It's Friday today. Wednesdays, I didn't want to go through Monday again, but I had to. And it was brutal. I haven't had a ceremony or a spell 2 weeks of... the diarrhea started on Sunday after, because I was here on my own with just Maestro and Lady. I ate with them in the kitchen, and Lady said, "Do you want eggs for a change?" I said, "Oh yeah, definitely. Really, it's a nice change from salad after a week of the diet. I mean, the eggs on the diet, but so she did me a couple of poached eggs with bread Saturday night, and then Sunday morning scrambled eggs with tomato, and then by lunchtime it went straight through me, and that was kind of like the start of the diarrhea cleaning. Just thought it was the food particularly. And then Monday, ceremony on Monday with the new group, great group, and really nice. There's only 3 or 4 of us all together, so 3 clients, 2 who have never done Aya before. Jess from Taiwan has done it before, but not too much. But here it's effectively first time because they haven't been with a shaman as powerful as Rusper. His name's Rusper, not Rusbel, as it was written to me. It's Rusper, and he's absolutely incredible. Never had a shaman like him before. Most powerful and just incredible singing. He's got a vocal range that's off the charts, and just a range of Icaros, just loads of them. They're always different. 30 years experience, hardcore Shipibo, fantastic, and he's a lovely guy. Love him to bits. So Monday was interesting in many ways. It was got discomfort in my stomach, but different than usual. And it went on to, after the usual scenario of sort of 2 hours, nothing happening. I can't remember what I had. I think it was half cup first off, and then a second cup. Again, didn't drink all of it because I know it doesn't work like that, and but it was so powerful. Back in my room, I felt terrible, absolutely terrible, with just a particular type of stomach problem, and that's when the diarrhea started, and I vomited in ceremony, big vomit with a big cup, felt like a big cup. It's probably a bit more than half, I don't know. Big vomit. That was the night Maestro said to the others, "I've never seen a shaman vomit like that." He whatever he's taken out of the group, and me, he purged really big time into his bucket. And I thought, wow. And then 5 minutes later I did. And Mama said to me, I think it was that ceremony, she said, "Steve, You know, after the honorary shaman thing last Friday, you know, without being a real one, she said that all your stuff, because I just got so fed up with just, you know, when's this cleaning going to end? It just never ends. Is there ever an end to it? Every ceremony, the stomach discomfort. And she said, your body has been acting like the shamans do. You're taking energy out, but you don't know it, and you're not aware of being able to expel it, because of that shamanistic aspect and the amount of ayahuasca you've done. That's why you always have stomach problems, because you're removing energy from the group along with Maestro. So that was interesting. It's an explanation anyway. But it was horrible, and I vomited 4 or 5 times back in the room that night. Every time I was absolutely dehydrated. Drank a flask of water and then vomited it up. More water. Bit of my apple. Vomited that back up 5 times. Then the diarrhea started 5 times. Heavy cleaning. And then because I was so drained at the weekend, I couldn't go out to Antonio to watch football at his village. I just needed to rest at the weekend, just here on my own. And that continued. That feeling of being utterly drained went into Tuesday. I was like a zombie on Tuesday morning, just shuffling down to breakfast like this joke with Maestro. I said, "Oh, Maestro, are you trying to kill me?" Yeah, and he laughed. And then in the chat afterwards, he said, "You know, it's going to be a heavy cleaning week for you before you go. Last big cleaning." And I said, "I know, Mum. You know, I know I have to do it, but it's been horrible. But I didn't want to do Wednesdays again and go through that again. And I had to. He gave me a full cup, and it was worse. The feelings of complex, like I used to get after the alcohol binges. And Wednesday was really interesting. I got to the end of the ceremony, feeling sort of okay. The rest they were told, it's probably best if you try and sleep in the Maloka tonight, because he told them they were going to have a heavy cleaning. It's going to be easier than their first one, which he was. You know, nobody vomited in the first one except me. He was reasonably gentle with them, but obviously they're here for a reason. Mike particularly got a lot of deep stuff, but he hit them with it on Wednesday, and they all vomited on Wednesday night, which was ceremony 65 for me. And I vomited twice in that ceremony again. Same usual, 2 hours to come up. And they offered me, Maestro had said to me during the day, he said, no second cup for you today. I'll just give you a big cup at the start and that's it. Because he knew the state I was in. I was really struggling, just physically. But it was a spiritual draining. It's not like just tired or exhausted. That as well, but it was more just a zombie on Tuesday. And then Wednesday still felt just rough. And I wasn't looking forward to Wednesday night. And I was talking to Mummy and just said, "Mama, at the beginning of the ceremony, or before, it's like, Mama, I can't go through Monday again." I didn't want to do it at one point, and I really considered, I don't know if I'm up to this. I don't think I've got the strength to do the ceremony on about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I had this wave of kind of like just like a imaginary beam of light from heaven. It was wonderful, but it made me feel, it removed sort of the anxiety a little bit of, not that, just the apprehension of, or just the worry of, not worry even, just the not wanting to do it. And I felt better by 6 o'clock, and then I was fine. But now I've got to, I was going to do it anyway, but I knew I had to do it, but I was really considering, if he hits me like he did on Monday, I don't think I can take it. Not going through that again from after the ceremony, from sort of 12 o'clock onwards till 4 in the morning. But it did, and it was fucking worse. It started as soon as the ceremony ended for me. It wasn't too bad. I just didn't have any energy in the ceremony. So when the Odikaro that would have normally resonated with me and got me feeling like the shamanic dance and connecting, sort of like just a bit, and I was just, I just can't even, can't kind of even think like that. lying down. I was just, no, I just, so anyway, I stood up at the end. I was pretty much ready to go. I wanted to go to the toilet. I knew I felt this horrible feeling in my stomach as usual, but it was slightly different. It was more of it developed into a bit of a pain. I thought I just want to go back, vomit, and go to the toilet, whatever. And so I kind of sat up and I was like, Christian, when you're ready, man, yeah, let's go. And he pulled me up. I said, really aware of the dizziness, because that's a critical point. The standing up, if it's really strong, that's either when you're going to feel like vomiting or you can faint. And I did. I passed out. I got to Christian. I just said, I'll just hold you for a minute, just check my balance. And next thing I know, I don't remember collapsing. Obviously, Christian caught me, but I was literally 1 minute just been picked up, pulled up by him. I was stood up, and next thing I was in a just this heavy vision space. Nothing particularly interesting, just strange, but really powerful. Strange vision. I can't even remember. It was kind of just weird. But I was like in this vision space. And then I came to, I don't know how long, I must have just literally dropped. Christian must have caught me. I'd fallen back onto my backside. And next thing, he was pulling me back up again and I came to. So I don't know how long it lasted, but from my perspective, I was just in a heavy vision space. The next thing, I'm just being pulled up. Mr. Steve, you okay? You okay? And lady came over, are you okay? And they pulled me back up again and I was like, what the fuck happened? And it's like, whoa. And then I had lady and Christian on each side of me to walk me back. I was totally weak. We went back. And then I started to get the hot sweats. Got back to the room. They made sure I laid down. Lady stayed for quite a while. Just to check, she said, no, I want to see you're okay. They got me water. I was fine. I started chatting. I was in a really nice space, and but then next thing, Maestro appears in my room as well, asking, see, obviously everybody saw or heard me hit the floor, and Maestro saw it as well, knew I'd been hit really hard. So he came to check on me, but I said, Maestro, I've got this pain in my stomach. It's not normal. It feels like there's a knife right in my solar plexus as well. And then, so I was lying on the bed and he started with his fingers probing around all my stomach and just going, moving. And he went round in a circle, and there were various points in a whole circle round my stomach area of different points where it was tender and sore and kind of blocked. And so he kind of cleared that, but it didn't get rid of the pain immediately. And I was up till 10 to 5 in the morning, still feeling terrible. And I vomited. I was up and down, vomited 4 or 5 times. Diarrhea 4 or 5 times. And then finally, a final crap, which was kind of felt like it cleared everything. And then I could sleep, but I didn't get to sleep till about 10 to 5. So again, awake again at 8 for breakfast or before. So again, just continued the tiredness. And of course yesterday then we woken up at 8 and it was Cambo for 10. So no breakfast, straight to Cambo, which is on the previous video. Got Christian, just asked Christian, he took some of the others, but they'd already done theirs. Jess had a hard time in that one. She had to be carried back in from the toilet, back into the Moloko, because she's only small. She's from Taiwan, a little Chinese girl, she's lovely. Mike was excellent in Cambo, because they're all experienced meditators, and obviously it helps a lot when you can, just concentrate on your breathing and withstand the effects as it's coming on stronger with the Cambo. And so he had 4 dots for his first time. Handled it really well, stuck about nearly half an hour, sweating profusely, and then vomited a lot. And then interestingly, for me, I didn't vomit. So barking, it's nothing. And yeah, so I didn't vomit. First time in Cambo, didn't vomit, didn't feel like vomiting. And then started having, we had rapé. Keith blew us all a big rapé. Felt okay, but then started to get stomach pains. And had to lie down before, I was just about to go back to the room. Had to lie down again, started to get stomach pains again. Thought, I'm going back to my room, I'll lie down there. And as I got back to the room, diarrhea again. The normal kind of stomach pains you get before diarrhea. So, and then in the afternoon, I managed to get to sleep. I fell asleep for about an hour, fortunately. Got some sleep, still drained. And then the chat in the afternoon, I was last. Jess came, knocked on my door, I presume about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, said, Steve, it's your go. And literally, as I just woken up, and as she said, I said, all right, thanks. And then as I sat up, stomach pains again. Oh, fuck. So I had to sit on the bog for 10 minutes. And then a lady then came to see where I was. She said, do you want to do it tomorrow? I said, no, just give me a minute. I'm just on, I'm in the toilet. So that was another 2 rounds of diarrhea before I went to see the shaman. And then so I explained that to him, and he said, yeah, heavy cleaning. He said, but no more. He said, on Friday, it's your last ceremony, nice ceremony for you. I said, yeah, I can't do that level of cleaning. And of course we have to go Saturday morning at 10. So I said, yeah, just minimal, it'd be a third of a cup tonight for ceremony 66, my last one here for however long, I don't know. So the rest are going to have, what they'd normally have as the normal week clients. But for me, he's given me an easy one. So a third of a cup. I won't be having a second cup. Definitely not tonight. Feel okay today though. Feel back to normal because I slept fine. We all got to sleep about 9 o'clock, or back here 8 o'clock, and then by the time I watched video or whatever, and then was asleep. And I did manage to sleep most of the night, up 2 or 3 times, but got back to sleep again. So I've had a good sleep. This is my first full night, proper night's sleep in over a week. And I could see it in my eyes all week, very dark. But feel good now. Looking forward to tonight already now. So some of the interesting, Monday was interesting because there was a couple of strange things that happened that never happened to me before. In the ceremony at one point, I started to hear these weird voices, but they were alien. They weren't human. And obviously no language you can understand. That was a bit weird. And at one point, it was almost like something sat next to me with its knees up, shadowy figure. Don't know what it was, but I had, for a moment, it kind of popped into my head that if it was somebody that I knew. And Roger Leese, my old drummer friend, who either committed suicide or had an accident when he was drunk and fell off cliffs at the Isle of Man a few years ago, as if he was still, that kind of him, but I wasn't sure. And I thought, I'm not sure. But this kind of entity was kind of sat next to me in the Maloka with its knees up. And I didn't interact with it, but I was wondering what it was. And then back in my room, as I was wanting to get to sleep on Monday night, I was lying down just trying to drop off and had the feeling of these 2 entities, human, Peruvian, was the impression I got, standing over my bed and whispering to each other. They were just it wasn't Spanish, couldn't recognize the language, but because I couldn't hear it anyway, because they were whispering. So I said, do you know who I am? And obviously there was no response, but I said, sort of in my mind, sorry guys, I really need to rest. Like, do you mind? I said, do you mind? Can you take your conversation somewhere else, please? And they left. And I told Maestro this, and he laughed. But the noises, the strange voice in the Maloka that I heard for a while, Maestro said, the Maloka's got a lot of medicinal plants. There's Bobinsana just by the door, and all around the Maloka there's a lot of medicinal plants. He said, you're hearing the plants talking. That's a first. Never had that before. So that was really interesting. Obviously, he couldn't comment on whatever it was next to me, but the voices. And he just laughed about what I perceived as the Peruvian guys, because saying, do you know, as if to say a little bit, not being sort of cocky about, do you know who I am? As if, like, from a shamanic perspective. No fear or anything, it wasn't malignant in any way. They were just two spirits or whatever, just looking over me while I was lying on the bed and whispering. And then as soon as I said, go to sleep, can you take your conversation somewhere else? And they left. So it was like, that was strange, quite fun. So that's pretty much it. I don't, there's not really much to tell about the ceremonies, because it was just, Mike vomited heavily finally. I said to him the next morning, that's your deep demons. And he said, exactly. He said, I got the impression it was like, like I'd said, about really deep stuff that is just intertwined down to your DNA. It's been there. And that's what Mama was saying about my stomach pains. She said, Steve, this is why you had to do the heavy week. She said, this is the very first attack that the dark side attacked you with when you were a baby. Because as I said, I've told you all along, they wanted to kill you from the moment you were born. And that's why, and they've nearly have done so many times. That's why, when she said to me many times, how many times she saved my life. Especially through the alcohol binging days, when I either passed out, fallen over, banged my head on tile floors in Brazil and wherever. And this is, the horrors of what the dark side does to people. Hitting you with just demonic entities, flashes of my stepfather being possessed himself. Because, his behaviour when he first married my mother, about 6 months later, was when the real character came out. When he started, he'd go out and binge drinking with his mates and stuff, and just a horrible, horrible behaviour. And of course, a lot of it was levelled at me. His jealousy, resentment, insecurities, just overall general nastiness that he was capable of, directed at me, which was what caused the complex post-traumatic stress later in life. Then, of course, that brings a whole host of things with it, that go with it. Your escapism from that, drinking, smoking pot, all of these vectors away from purity. And, that was the same with Kai last week. Drugs, hard drugs. There are gonna be a lot of demons that get in when you're on heroin and methamphetamine. And Mike, though, he's got some deep stuff which he knew. And they all agreed, it kind of fell into place that they, once I explained what Mum has taught me in the past about, relatively recently, about certain people being born into problem families to balance the light from an already corrupted family. And it's like a mission. It's your job. You get put here because of that spiritual character that you are. And unfortunately, though, it means you get absolutely hammered in the attacks, because obviously the dark doesn't want you around to try and fight against it. So they hit you with everything. So it's been the toughest week the aftermath of the ceremony, the usual situation for me, back in the room. I haven't felt like that since my first 8 at Kapatari and Temple of Light. The level of vomiting, the hot sweats of the alcohol come downs, which I was associated with the alcohol, but of course it's not. And dehydration. It was a very dehydrated week. being cleaned that heavily, to the point like the last ceremony on Wednesday, every time a few sips of water, vomit it back up. So there's a heavy element of dehydration in that last one on Wednesday, gone, number 65. So the last two ceremonies have been pretty horrible, to say the least. But got through it, and really seriously, after talking to Maestro again, I'm not going to say exactly what he said because I don't want repercussions on the channel, but he said, we were talking about at some point in the future going to have the break, Vietnam, but I'm worried about if I come, how long is all that matters if I can get back in again, because he offered me last week in the jungle about this 3-month dieta, which he'd also offered Kai. Kai told me first, he said, Maestro, in the chat with Maestro, he said, do I want to do a 3-month dieta? And of course, I was a little bit cynical because he knew shaman. I obviously Peruvian kind of experience. I was just thinking, maybe he's just offering it because it's about money, but it's not with him. He's been great since I've got to know him better, especially over the weekend when we were just chatting and just us in the kitchen, me, him, and Lady. So I've been the seed was planted this week again. Mama heavily saying, if you do the next dieta, do you want to do the next dieta? I kind of hesitated, and then later on I said yes. I said, Steve, you've got to be absolutely certain that you want to do this. So because if you're not serious, the plant spirits won't connect with you anyway, because it'll be like, this guy's not serious. Yeah. And it's going to be tough and we had a taste of the starvation because the diet's really caught up with me as well this week, starved, feeling not just a couple of times feeling not hungry but starved. It's different with the weakness. And she said, it can be like this on the dieta. You need to know, and it's 3 months. It's going to be tough. So, but nevertheless, I spoke to him about it again. From what he said to me was kind of, because I still wanted to finish this journey with at least having the experience of a plant spirit singing to me at least once, just for that experience. But anyway, I'll explain more to Mike about what it's really about. So, and that will be with him in his place in Pucallpa, which is a flight from Iquitos. But still need a break. So, and I've got to leave. My visa's out next week. I think next 29th, next Friday, maybe something like that. I don't know what the date is today. So. But depends what happens if so I'm looking at flights. I've got to arrange a flight this weekend, but they were expensive when I was too tired to look last week. I started looking last Sunday, and the flights were just too. Some of them were 4 stops, up to 7 hours or whatever at various places. Loads of different types of routes. Some going to China first, going east, and some going via California west. 40 to 54 hours, 3 or 4 flights. And it's just like I was so tired at the time. I couldn't relate to it. I just thought, fuck, I'll just wait till this. I'll do it this week, but I was still too tired this week. So this weekend, when I get back to the hotel, I'll see Ida on Sunday, pick up my stuff, and of course I've got too much stuff. I've got two small bags at Ida's place, and I need to strip everything down. So I'm going to probably have to leave stuff behind, clothes and whatnot that I've got. I'll just probably a pair of hiking boots that I don't need because I've got 2 now. But anyway, that's it. I just don't know. I'll have to see. We can get the flights, get to Vietnam because it'll be cheaper in the long run. I can stay for 30 days without an e-visa, and then I'll just hop over to Thailand on another flight. And I think just doing that for 2 or 3 months will keep the costs down, because Twin told me and Kai told me last week, you'll love it there. It's really safe, really friendly, beautiful beaches. So, and cheap, really good food. So I think it's worth it to try and do a couple of months in Vietnam by just hopping out over the border for 24 hours and coming back in. I think it's Laos next door to it. I've got to look on the map again. And then Thailand's another stop away, another country along. Visit Thailand while I'm there. So I've never been to that neck of the woods. Always wanted to go to Thailand. And everyone said again, you know, obviously it's really good. So basically that's the plan. But I don't know. And some of the Latam app last week, fucking ridiculous. The cheapest flights that Latam are offering on their app, £3,000. It's like, forget it, you know. But other, like Kiwi.com and Skyscanner, they're about 954. But you need to pay baggage on top and probably extras, and then they're always warning you about, you know, you've got to check all your itinerary, you know, on possibly a 3 or 4 stop leg to be able to have enough time to get your bags off, check back in on another airline to carry on the journey. So it's a fucking hassle, you know. It's not a straightforward trip, and all because Booking.com said I've already changed my flight once. I'm not allowed to do it. They wanted £700 just to change the flight details from March to next week sometime. She checked a few dates and then came back 10 minutes checking to see what eligibility was. And I said, I've got a flexible ticket. She said, you've already used it once. You're only allowed the one go. So just to be able to change the date again and get off at Madrid instead of going the whole way back to London, £700. It's like, you might as well just buy a new flight and go direct from here. It's fucking ridiculous, the airline rip-off scenario, especially as a frequent flyer with Latam. Pretty pissed off with them. And then their app only offering minimum £3,000 flights up to 6,000. Fucking ridiculous, you know, cost of air travel. So anyway, that's the story. So I'll do tonight, final ceremony, number 66, leave on a good number, and hopefully have a nice one. And then do the video of that when I get back to Hotel Natiba. I'm going back to that hotel because it's a nice room and with a fridge. And just for the first day after this week, I definitely need the rest. I can't take a risk with Hotel Morona, because just in case, like last time, I get a fucking loud family moved in next door to me. That's, you know, so it means paying a bit more, 110 soles instead of 30, which is sort of like £27, something like that. But for the first night, for sure, Saturday night. And we're all going to meet at Cafe Dawn tomorrow. Because Jess wants to go to Belen Market. Well, they all do. So I said I'd take them to Belen Market. Jess wants to buy probably some rapé. She's bought some off Keith yesterday for her husband back in the States, because he was here before, apparently, in November, just after I left. And then she's come, and she's loving it. She's lovely. She's a lot of really experienced meditator, and it shows. She's just got so much brightness and energy, incredible. And it was 2 of their birthdays this week as well. So it's Perla's today. Perla's from Romania, and so they've been a nice bunch. She did well. Perla did well in Cambo yesterday. Didn't vomit, or did she? Can't remember. Anyway, Jess did. Jess vomited quite a lot and then needed to go to the toilet and was flat out. It's a really strange scene. Someone actually being carried in by their legs back into the Maloka. Yeah, funny. But anyway, that's pretty much it. So I'll do the summary of the last one at some point over the weekend, maybe Sunday. Try and get the video up and try and sort a flight out. Maybe tomorrow night, depending how I feel. After we've been to Belen Market, we'll meet up at Cafe Dawn. Well, we're all going to go together. It'll be 2 tuk-tuks, Cafe Dawn, a meal, because they haven't. Only Mike's been there. The two girls haven't. And then Belen Market. I might get some more rapé myself. I'll check. I'll have to check though. I don't want any trouble in the Vietnamese immigration or any stops along the way, depending which countries the flight goes through on the way back. Although it's only tobacco, you never know. Of course, countries like Vietnam and the Golden Triangle, they've still got. So Jess was saying this morning, Taiwan, where she's from, has capital punishment for marijuana, but not ecstasy, and a couple of other drugs. It's weird, but obviously Vietnam and those countries, they still can have, jail or death penalty for drug trafficking. I'm not trafficking drugs, but I just don't want the hassle and go, like, what's this powder or what the fuck? Just don't want the aggro. So interesting point of the journey, because I don't really know how it's going to pan out, depending on flights. Might go to Thailand first, depending on the flight availability, might go to Vietnam. Don't know until I check, so we'll see.